Welcome to the Fearful Fright series, where we will be reading with our favorite green ghoul, Grimmer. Now sit back and enjoy this twisted tale. Today our story is called Ghost Town. Ethan Holloway hated being lost. He didn't just dislike it, he felt personally insulted by it, as though the road itself had betrayed him. His hands tightened on the steering wheel as the car's headlights swept over another stretch of empty asphalt, the darkness swallowing everything beyond their narrow cone of light. "This road isn't on the map," he muttered. Beside him, his wife Mary Ann Holloway leaned forward, peering through the windshield. Her reflection stared back at her in the glass, pale, tired, eyes ringed with sleeplessness. "You said that 20 minutes ago," she said softly. "And before that?" Ethan exhaled sharply through his nose. "The GPS died. The phone has no signal. And we haven't passed a single sign since." "Since the trees changed," Mary Ann finished. That made him glance at her. The forest had shifted gradually, so subtly they hadn't noticed at first. The pines had grown thinner, their trunks warped and twisted like arthritic fingers. The undergrowth had vanished, leaving bare dirt and exposed roots that clawed at the roadside. Even the air felt wrong, stale, heavy, like a room that hadn't been opened in years. Ethan tried to laugh it off. "It's just a back road. Probably an old mining route or something." Mary Ann didn't answer. She was watching the fog. It had started as a low mist clinging to the ground, but now it crept higher, curling around the car, swallowing the forest inch by inch. The headlights seemed weaker, as though the darkness was pressing back. Then, without warning, the road dipped sharply downhill. Ethan swore and slowed the car. The fog thinned as they descended, and something pale appeared ahead, straight lines, sharp angles. Buildings. A town. They exchanged a look. "A town," Mary Ann whispered. "Out here." The road leveled out, and suddenly they were driving past a rusted metal sign, its paint long flaked away. Only a few letters remained, barely legible in the headlights. "WELCOME. TOAER. The rest was gone. Ethan pulled the car to a stop. "Well," he said, forcing cheer into his voice, "looks like we found help." The town was small, too small. One main street, lined with buildings that leaned inward as if listening. A gas station stood at the entrance, its pumps skeletal and dry, hoses hanging like severed veins. A diner sat across the street, its windows dark, a cracked sign swinging slightly though there was no wind. No lights. No cars. No people. Mary Ann stepped out of the car, hugging her coat tighter around herself. The air smelled wrong, dust, rot, and something faintly metallic. "Ethan," she said quietly, "do you hear that?" He listened. Nothing. Not insects. Not wind. Not even the distant call of an owl. Just silence, thick and absolute. He felt it press against his ears. "We'll find someone," he said. "It's probably just late." They walked together down the street, their footsteps echoing too loudly. Every building looked abandoned but maintained. Doors closed. Windows intact. Curtains hanging, faded but clean. It was as though everyone had simply stood up and left at the same moment. Mary Ann stopped in front of a storefront. The sign above it read, "Miller and Sons. General Goods." She pressed her face close to the glass. Inside, shelves were stocked. Canned food. Boxes of soap. Even fresh-looking apples in a wooden crate. "No dust," she murmured. "Ethan. This doesn't make sense." He reached for the door. It opened easily. A bell rang overhead. The sound shattered the silence, ringing far longer than it should have. The echo seemed to stretch, bending oddly, as if the sound were being swallowed by the building itself. "Hello," Ethan called. No answer. They stepped inside. The air was colder here, unnaturally so. The lights flickered, and then came on. Mary Ann gasped. The shelves were full, yes, but every label was wrong. The brands were unfamiliar. The text. Almost English, but not quite. Letters leaned at strange angles, words spelled nearly right but off enough to make her skin crawl. She picked up a can. The expiration date read, April 14. The year had been scratched out. Ethan noticed something else. Behind the counter hung a wall of photographs. Dozens of them. Families, couples, groups of smiling people, posed in front of the same buildings they now stood among. And beneath every photo, handwritten names. Thomas and Eliza Ward. Samuel Green. The Keller family. Mary Ann's breath caught. Ethan, she whispered, look at the dates. The earliest photo was faded, sepia-toned. 1891. The most recent. Her heart slammed against her ribs. 2016. That was only 3 years ago. The people in that photo were smiling. But their eyes. Every single pair of eyes, no matter the year, no matter the face, looked afraid. They left the store in silence. The town seemed closer now. The buildings leaned further inward. The street felt narrower, though Mary Ann was certain it hadn't changed. Ethan, she said, I want to leave. Now. He nodded quickly. Yeah, me too. They turned back toward the car. It was gone. The space where they'd parked was empty. No, Ethan said. No. He ran down the street, searching, panic rising in his chest. Nothing. The fog had thickened, sealing off the road completely. Mary Ann stood frozen, staring at something behind him. Ethan. Her voice trembled. There are people. He turned. They stood in doorways, on sidewalks, in windows. Men, women, children. All pale, all still. Their clothes were old, some decades old, some modern, but their faces were wrong. Hollow, translucent, as though they were made of fog and memory. One woman stepped forward. Her voice was soft, layered, echoing with others beneath it. You shouldn't have come, she said. But now that you're here. She smiled. The town is awake again. The ground shuddered. The buildings creaked. Mary Ann screamed as hands reached for her, cold, weightless fingers sinking into her arms, her shoulders, her hair. Ethan tried to fight them, but his fists passed through their bodies like smoke. They closed around him instead, pulling, dragging, whispering. So many whispers. Stay. Don't leave. We were lonely. We needed you. The town itself seemed to breathe. The streetlights flickered on, one by one. Ethan felt something tear inside him, a sensation like being stretched thin, like his memories were being pulled out through his skin. Mary Ann sobbed as the world blurred. She could feel the town pressing into her thoughts, filling her with cozy memories, people arriving lost, scared, hopeful. All of them staying. Forever. Her last clear thought was of the road they'd been on before this. The ordinary argument they'd been having. How small it all felt now. The fog swallowed them completely. Morning came quietly. The fog lifted. The town stood empty once more. A car sat parked at the edge of the road, engine cold, doors closed, keys still in the ignition. Inside the general store, a new photograph hung on the wall. A husband and wife, standing close together, smiling stiffly. Their eyes were wide with terror. Beneath it, freshly written. Ethan and Mary Ann Holloway. Arrived together. Outside, the rusted sign creaked gently in a breeze that hadn't existed the night before. Another letter flaked away. Welcome. To. Haven. And somewhere deep within the town, voices whispered again, soft, patient, waiting for the next travelers to lose their way.